Sheri, I published an article this week about sex, and that's what I want to talk about on this video.
Just always want to talk about sex.
No, I don't want to talk about. I said that wrong. I don't want to talk about sex on the video. I want to talk about the fact that I published an article about sex, and it makes me so nervous when I do stuff like that. When I publish,
You get nervous about talking about sex or writing about sex? Or
Yeah.
publishing about sex?
I do. And this video, this is for you, Kathy. Kathy is our social media manager, and she says we need to do stuff that lets our audience get to know us better and be more real and less just like, hey, here's what we think, but like talk more about how we feel. And so I'm going to let you in on, I guess, a little secret. I don't even really talk to you about this, but I've been writing about alcoholism and recovery and sex and what that's like in alcoholism and recovery. I looked it up. It's been like 7.5 years now. And I still, whenever I cross a new threshold of vulnerability or say something I haven't said before, I get really nervous. Like, I don't know. It's like I expect someone to yell at me for speaking my truth. And one of the people I expect to yell at me is you.
I was going to say, did I yell at you about it?
You didn't. In fact, until just a few minutes ago, I didn't even know if you had read it.
Yeah.
But you did read it.
Yeah.
And you're not mad.
No, I'm not mad.
That's nice. So, when I write about things that are kind of more middle of the road or that are less embarrassing for people to read or to relate to, we get a lot of feedback sometimes. This one, 0 feedback. And I can see from the stats that people are reading it. I can see that it's had good distribution numbers, but I've heard nothing. And that, honestly, in a really kind of relaxed, conscious way, I can say, okay, that's because it's a taboo subject. And people are relating, but it's a taboo subject. But, the other part of me says, oh crap, people think I'm a deranged lunatic now and they're not going to read anymore. What do you think?
Do I think you're a deranged lunatic?
Yeah.
Or
do you
about
think
the
I'm
article?
a deranged lunatic?
Or about the article?
Sure, whatever you want to.
I think that if I were to want to comment, like, is it like one of those things that you can heart or comment on? I mean, I feel like for me when I read it...
Well, people can read it themselves,
Yeah.
and then they can figure out how they want to interact. They can go to soberandunashamed.com.
Sure. There you go.
And the article is titled Her Touch.
Yeah.
It's about non-sexual physical intimacy.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big fan of, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you've become a big fan of.
Yeah.
Okay, so I interrupted you, as usual. Probably forgot what you were going to say.
Well, I guess I'll just, jump to the point. I, read it, and I was a little, I don't know, slightly embarrassed, slightly, surprised that you wrote about it, but not completely, because you do write about a lot of details. I felt like it just was, really vulnerable and intimate. But I guess if you were to say those things to me, or if you were to write some sort of love note about it, I would probably, or just write about it and hand it to me, I probably would be because I'm not what one would call romantic necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know if it fits into a love language category, but you don't like it when I do that.
No. So...
Your love language is not receiving love letters.
or affirmations of love and things like that.
Affirmations of anything.
Yeah, so I guess that's why I wasn't mad or upset or disappointed or shocked and angry with you about writing it, because I just felt like I would have never received it well verbally or written or communicated directly to me.
Yeah.
So, and if it was on your heart and you wanted to share, I feel like that's fine. I feel like it was very personal, very vulnerable, very intimate.
Yeah.
But again,
not intimate like sex positions or
just
swinging from the chandeliers, but it did cross a new threshold of something that has happened just in the last few years to us intimately, that it's great. I mean, it's beyond great. It's the greatest.
Yeah.
But You're right. It's something I've never shared before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just felt like it was like a tell-all sort of scenario.
Well, it's what I want for people. I mean,
but that's what's missing after alcohol sometimes.
It is.
With alcohol.
And getting to it is hard. It's hard to get as far as we've gotten. And I want that for people so much. And so I don't want people to read it and be like, oh, we got to do this tonight.
Yeah.
I want them to read it and be like, this is somewhere because it lays out very clearly that in the kind of intimacy we're talking about requires safety. Mm-hmm. It requires trust. It takes a long time to get there, and it requires approval. And it lays out what has had to change in our non-intimate life for you to feel that way intimately.
Yeah.
And the changes I've had to make too. So there's a lot there, but it's aspirational, I hope. And I just want it for people so bad because it's so great. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's embarrassing. When I first started publishing about alcoholism and my alcoholism, I remember the first thing that published at like 3 a.m. on like a Wednesday. And I remember I stayed up all night, and at 3:15 I expected phone calls, and you're just
clamoring at the door.
I didn't even have an email list at this point. I just put it on the internet, and I thought, oh my God, all these people are going to find I'm going to get fired. My parents are going to be mad at me. Everyone's going to be insanely enraged. And I didn't understand how the internet works. Yes, someone in China has access, and I just picked China because it's on the other side of the world. There's no phobia there or whatever. I wish I hadn't said that. Indonesia. Someone on the other side of the world could read what I wrote the moment I publish it. So that is how vast the internet is. But it's also got 7 gazillion things posted to it every day, and nobody's looking for what we have to say unless they are. So the idea that something's out there on the internet shouldn't be as scary as it is in my head. Yeah. But it is. And it's interesting because when we have people on the podcast, sometimes you can really sense that they're nervous that, Aunt Thelma is going to find this, or their ex-husband from 2 marriages ago is going to find this. Unless they're looking, they ain't finding anything because there's so much, and they have to, be looking very specifically. They have to be a listener of the podcast for some other reason before they stumble across somebody that we've had on the podcast, their words on the podcast. So it's not as scary or it's way more scary than it should be. And so here again, I can't believe it when I was finishing editing, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to put this out there. I was like, what are you afraid of? You've gotten 0 negative feedback. You sometimes get positive feedback, and sometimes you get nothing. And that's the way it is. It's the way this gig works. Mm-hmm. Did you get any feedback? You want me to call you and say, I can't believe Matt said that?
No.
Did you notice there was a paragraph in there about my parents?
It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah, there's a paragraph in there about my parents that does not fit at all. If I had a professional editor read that, they'd be like, cut this out, this is dumb. The paragraph in there about my parents is in there because I know my dad reads everything I write. And that was somehow to, alleviate some of my embarrassment or shame or nervousness or guilt or whatever. It was a lovely paragraph about my parents, but it did not belong in that post at all. Yeah. You'll have to reread it.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, Kathy, we're trying. I know we are not social media people, but we're doing our best. We're trying to be vulnerable, trying to be honest about what makes us nervous. And, when I say nervous, I mean losing a little sleep nervous. Not like staying up all night nervous or, doing awful, mean things to each other nervous. Just a little nervous, but that's out there, Kathy. Chop this up into little videos and use it however you want to. If you would like to hear more of our opinionated ramblings, we hope you'll check out the Untoxicated podcast.
And if you're more of the reading type and you want to catch this latest article, go to Sober.
Her Touch.
Go to soberandunashamed.com.
And if you're picking up what we're laying down, Please check out the Echoes of Recovery program at echoesofrecovery.org or the Shout Sobriety program at shoutsobriety.org. We get what you're going through. You've got this, and we've got you.